Good morning, React Day Berlin. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here opening this conference in my city. So I live here, and I've been speaking at this conference for so long. I was with the organizer backstage, and he runs production, and he showed me a photo from 5 years ago where we were together, and he's like, look at the difference we've had over time. So it's such an honor and a privilege to be here with you today. As mentioned, my name is Tejas. That's pronounced like contagious. And unfortunately, I might actually be contagious. So I had a cold some few days ago. And usually I say I'm not contagious, but honestly, I don't know. I've been building on the web for over 20 years at various places like Vercel, Spotify, Zeta, and more. And I've been able to learn from some of the greatest minds. So anything you see today that is, you'd say, good, was learned by other people. Okay, this is not a solo effort, definitely not. Today, I'm an AI engineer at DataStax, and the moment I say AI, I notice some of you go like, another AI. And so here's the deal. We're going to talk about AI and specifically the intersection of AI and React server components. But like I mentioned AI, and the first thing I need to get out of the way before we go further is that honestly, people are just tired of AI. Anyone tired of AI here? Anyone like, I'm tired of it? Yeah, like most of you. And this is fine. Like I think there's a hype cycle that will show that this is the normal trend, and I'm here to give you not some hype. I'm not here to like channel Sundar Pichai from Google and be like AI, 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 AI. You've seen the meme AI, 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 where he says like AI 121 times or something like this. Which that's not a knock on him. I think they have some great AI innovations, but this is more than like investor promises. Does that make sense? Like I want to give us a reasonable and just a totally rational, balanced look at AI and what it actually means for us specifically as React engineers. Okay. To do that, let me just preface this point that people are tired of AI a little bit more. This is my friend Stephanie. She works at Igalia. They make browsers and they work on the JavaScript language specification. They literally make JavaScript. And she says this. She says, "Dear brands, companies, etc., I do not want or need AI injected into every single part of my life." Some of you feel this. At this rate, I'm more likely to use your product if you're not shoving AI down my throat. Okay, thanks. Bye. Right? There's research out of the University of Washington that proves, this came from a lab, it proves that if your product advertises AI a lot, people are less likely to sign up. That's where we are today. Okay, so we are tired about it, and this is my thesis. Before we go further, I want to tell you that for us as React developers and engineers, AI really should be like salt. Like a little bit of salt, like it's seasoning. We sprinkle it on features, we sprinkle it here and there, and we use it to enhance really great product experiences. And if we don't do that, just like with any salt, right? If we don't use salt appropriately, we might end up like killing someone. We might end up creating an unpleasant taste. So we've got to use it this way, okay? So at the beginning of this talk, I said I'm an AI engineer, and some of you went, "Oh my goodness, it's an AI engineer. What does that mean?" I'm here to like define this for you because I speak at a lot of this year it's in the 30s. I've spoken at that many out of 52 weeks in the year. That's like most of the year spent speaking at things to people. Okay, and I ask people, hey, do you think you could identify as an AI engineer? Do you feel comfortable saying I maybe am an AI engineer? If I ask you, any of you AI engineers or could be, like one person. Confidence, I like it. We will fix this by defining what an AI engineer is, because people, I ask them and they say, "Oh, I couldn't. No, I don't think so." Why? I don't know Python. I don't know machine learning. I didn't go to university. I'm not good at linear algebra. The truth is, you don't need any of that. Let's define this role, and then I'll ask you again. This is the thesis. This is the document that defines what AI engineering is. Anyone seen this? This is Latent Space. It's a publication by my friend Sean Wang. Some of you know him as Swix. He defined the term AI engineer in this essay, okay? And in it, this is how he defines it. He says an AI engineer is here on the spectrum, right? You've got an API as a dividing line, and behind the API, you have machine learning research and engineering. These are the data scientists, the people who are training the models, who are making sure the models are performing well, the red teamers, everybody working on the models themselves. You've got a big API in the middle. Some of you have interacted with this API, the completions API from OpenAI or Anthropic. Right? And behind the API, or rather, in front of the API, you've got AI engineers, people who call an API that is in front of some model. And at the end, you have full stack engineering. Is that clear? So AI engineering is really a piece of the stack of the full stack developer, just like React. A very crude way of saying this, and some of you may not like this, but it's just true, is that if you can make a fetch request in JavaScript to OpenAI's API and get an inference from GPT-3 or 4, then you can be an AI, and you probably are an AI. That's what AI engineering is, making a fetch request to a model and getting a response and solving a problem with it, okay? And you may think, Tejas, that's nonsense. You don't know what you're talking about. Look, this is by people smarter than me. Sean is extremely smart. He actually called the AI wave. But I want you to pay attention to the bottom of this. Look at this quote. It says, in numbers, there's probably going to be significantly more AI engineers than there are machine learning engineers or large language model engineers. One can be quite successful in this role. Pay attention. What does it say? What is it? Without ever training anything. That's a big deal. You don't have to know how to train a model. You just have to know how to talk to one, how to make a network request. Okay? And who's saying this? Anyone know this name? Andre Karpathy is a co-founder of OpenAI. He built ChatGPT. He literally is like the guy in machine learning, data science, and AI engineering, okay? So when he said, he was formerly, I think, VP of self-driving at Tesla. Like, the dude's been in machine learning and AI for a long time. So when someone like this defines AI engineering like that and continues to do so, it means something. So if I ask you again, could you be maybe an AI engineer? I expect there to be a different answer. Yeah, many of you. That's why I'm here today. I want to make this accessible to as many of you as possible because you are included in the space. Okay? There's much room at the table, and I want you to be able to play this. But here's the thing. We work with React. We're UI engineers. Okay? And I want to spend some of our time talking about this because the UI is so fundamental to AI that I would even say that without UI, AI is kind of useless. In fact, without UI, and we're defining UI as a user interface to something, anything is useless. Does that make sense? Like, do you like food? So if you like food, and you see food, without a user interface to your food, a fork, a mouth, it's useless. You're just like, look at it. Oh, I can't eat it. Like, you need a user interface. So OpenAI released GPT-3, the machine learning model. A model is just a massive, it's like a 60+ gigabyte file, right? They released this model and they said, hey, it can generate text, it can speak, it can do code. Nobody cared. They released the model. Nobody cared. They needed to get traction. They needed to get users. What did they do? What did they do? They built a UI with React. Literally, ChatGPT is just a React app on top of a machine learning model. Without UI, there is no AI. I need to make that very clear. Without an interface, AI is not usable because there's no user interface, okay? So as UI engineers, our role, our responsibility is exceedingly important. So I want to spend the rest of our time talking about something called generative UI. I think we're all familiar with generative AI, right? It's when you use AI to generate text, code, whatever. Let's talk about generative UI, and I'm going to feature some work by some friends and colleagues who work on some really great things. And honestly, this talk is going to be mostly demos. So yeah, there we go. This is the last slide. And together, we're going to build a React app using server components with generative UI. I have 10 minutes left. We'll probably do less Q&A time. Whatever, it's less work for him. The preface is we need to understand server components, which there's a great talk by Aurora after this, but server components are components that execute on the server. And what is a React component? It's a function that returns virtual DOM. And React knows how to reconcile virtual DOM with real DOM, okay? A server component is a function that runs on a server somewhere and returns you a big JSON object, virtual DOM. And then React on the client is like, I know this, let's put it on the screen. Is that clear? So with server components and AI, we're going to call functions on the server that generate virtual DOM, send them to React. Let's make this practical. Someone said, oh, so your talk's not technical, it's going to be an emotional talk, and they said it like in a bad way, so let's fix that. Which emotional talks are amazing, by the way. I just want to. So what are we going to talk about? Well, let's go to Netflix. This is my Netflix, welcome. And I use computers like a human being, right? If we think about UX and UI, I don't think in movie titles. I think in emotions. I think in what do I want to, like, I don't know the exact name of movies. So this is how I search for movies. I'm like, look, movies with a strong female lead. This is how I search. And look at this. I'm looking for a movie with a strong female lead, and we have literally no results. That's the answer. And what's the first suggestion? Try different. What is that? Keyword. I don't want this. This is not good UX. Okay. We can fix this with AI because AI can infer context. It's like, oh, you want movies with female? Okay, interesting. I think I got. So with AI, you can fix this. So to illustrate this with React Server components, my team and I at DataStax, we built this. It's a side project that is movie search, but the way we want it, using AI. And so I'm going to type in movies with a strong female lead and hit enter, and oh, nothing's going to happen because we didn't implement it. We're going to spend the remainder of our time building this together collaboratively, okay? And I want to show you how accessible this is to everybody. So I'm going to go split screen and just like straight up open VS Code, or actually cursor. Let's open this, and let's go this way. Let's close everything. And I'm going to make this a decent size. Okay, so this is actually the code. Welcome. This is Next.js. So we've got a layout, which is like is the font size okay? Yeah? So we've got a layout, which you can see, which you can see is just the entire page, or the root. And then we have the page component, which is the page. So we have a logo, we have a search form. Look, I comment out the search form goes away. Like, this is live. I say like, sup, homie, and it's like super live, okay? And inside the search form, we have a form and suggestions. And suggestions are those things that just went away. And inside suggestions, we have some hard-coded suggestions. And inside suggestions, you have a function called search, which is use movie search, which is supposed to like search for movies. So if I click on this, we find that, oh, there's literally no function implementation here. That's why, okay? Welcome to the project. So we're going to fix this. We're going to do AI search, and we're going to generate server component. It's incredible. And this is where I want to see the future of AI go. And we'll talk about this at the end. So what are we going to do? We start with a context. We need to give our app an AI context. So I'm going to make a new component, a server component. I'm going to call it AI.tsx. And I'm going to export const AI, right? And we're going to call create AI. Just like that. And this is from AI/RC, or React Server Components. And to bootstrap this, you just give it some actions, or you can be an empty object, initial AI state, an array, and initial UI state, which is, AI is not helping here, which is also an array. And these arrays are just messages. They're just like, the machine said this, the user said this. It's just an array of messages, okay? So I'm going to save this, and I'm going to go to the layout. Actually, I need to add use server, because this is a server component. That's a case where AI is super wrong. Look at that. It's not client. So we need to do this. And then we go to the layout, and we add AI. We wrap our entire app in this context. So now, basically, our app is like AI enabled, okay? What does that mean? Literally nothing, because we need to implement this function. So let's go back to use movie search. And what we need to do here is perform an action. So let's go to our AI implementation and add an action. So we'll add an action. Let's just call it continue conversation. We're going to continue a conversation. And it's an async function that, sure, this works. But we don't get a conversation, we get a message. And it's of type core message. For those of you who like TypeScript, this is just helpful. So now what are we going to do here? Well, we need to return a result. We need to return something. But what do we return? Well, we'll get a result from a function called stream UI, okay? And this is what's going to help us like generate React Server components. What is the signature of this function? Well, you need a model. And this can be any language model you want. We're going to use GPT-4o Mini because like it's fast and somewhat cheap, but you could choose. We need a history of messages, where we'll just say messages is just that one message that we sent for now, right? And we need to respond. Like if the model gives us text, we need to do something with that text. So I'm going to do text right here, and I'm going to return. But what do I return? Well, this function gives us like content delta done. I'm going to get back some text content, and I'm just going to return it straight away. And then at the end of my continue conversation, I'm going to return display is result.value. And messages usually have a role. Like did the machine say this? Did the user say it? So the role is assistant. That's it. This is my continue conversation. Okay. So I'm going to go to use movie search, and I'm going to just call that function. So I'll say const continue conversation is use actions, just like this. And I'm going to call it. So I'll come down here to my search function and say continue the conversation. The role is the user. The prompt comes from the user, right? So that's the prompt comes from like me saying movies with a strong female lead. And then I need to So what I'm going to do is get back the result. So I'll say const result is this. And now I need to like set it in state somehow. So there's a hook for this. It's called use conversation. It's called use UI state. So I'll get set conversation. And instead of use state, I'm just going to use UI state because it's the UI. And we don't need this. Okay. So now I get this result, and I'm just going to set conversation not to the result, but I'm going to accumulate, right? So I have previous conversation. Let's just say it's any for now. And I'm going to do this. I'm just going to spread the previous conversation and the result from the LLM. This clear so far? Right? Good. So now let's finish this loop by going to my page, and instead of getting the result as an empty array to initialize, I will get it from use UI state, and I'll import that. Okay. We are good here. Everything is implemented. Let's go test. So now, if I go here, movies, I'm just going to click this. It's going to be easier. Movies with a strong female lead. Okay, I get something. I don't know if you can see that, but it's just a bunch of nonsense text that I don't really like. And it's, wow, it's very long. But the cool thing is we're kind of starting to see some results. Check it out. Like Wonder Woman, I'd say she's strong and she's a female lead, so great. Mad Max Fury Road, Furiosa, amazing. So it's working, but it just kind of sucks as output. How can we fix this? And this is where, listen, there's a lot of UI to AI that looks like this today. There's a lot of chatbots that give you nonsense, and that then you have people saying, no, I want to talk to a human, because the chatbots just suck. Chatbots are probably the worst UX you can imagine. We hate chatbots. As UI engineers, we have a responsibility to do better. So we're going to do better than chatbots, okay? So how can we improve this a little bit? Well, let's go back to, now that everything's working, let's go back to our AI and have some fun with this. We can add a system prompt, right? So it's just one message before the and the system prompt gives identity to the AI. It's like, you are helpful assistant, you are not. You speak extremely, I don't know about that, extremely concisely, and only respond with lists. Maximum 4 items. I don't know what's happening. So, okay, let's try that again. So let's go back. Movies with a strong female lead. Perfect, beautiful. This is exactly what I wanted. No noise, you know. This kind of works. So now we've done some prompt engineering, and it works, but the UI still kind of sucks, right? What we're about to do is create an AI agent. Some of you may have heard the word agent. You're like, what is that? I'm a human being, in case you haven't noticed. And I am an agent. All human beings are agents. What does that mean? It means we have agency. What is agency? It's the ability to choose, to make choices. And so if out of my own agency, I'm speaking to you today. Does that make sense? I'm exercising agency. So this is modeled with language models. They have the ability to choose functions. You give them functions and they call them when they feel like it, with agency, literally. So that's what an agent is. You give them a bunch of functions and they exercise agency to call the function. What is a React component, a server component? A function. Whoa! So they can call a function that returns virtual DOM. We're about to create an agent that gives us a server component. Hi. Let's do that. So how we do that is we pass tools. Tools are nothing more than functions. So we'll pass a tool called getRichMovies. And we're going to do rich UI, not text. Yuck. So what is this? It gets some metadata. Parameters are input arguments to your function. In React, what are input arguments to your function? Props. 0 points. Props. So parameters are props, and Zod. This uses a schema specified by Zod. Zod is a way to describe schemas. So we get an object. Instead of movies, I'm going to do list of movie names. Keep in mind, this is a language model, so it can infer context. It's an array of strings of length 4, and I can describe this so the language model understands what it is, and so this is all useful. The description is what gives the language model agency. So the language model will understand, based on the description, when to use the tool. Is this clear? Because again, it's language, right? So we'll say, when a user asks for UI, call or use this tool, right? And then generate is a function that is actually like a generator function. So you put a star there to be a generator. And notice how movie is red. It's because I changed the prop, and this is type safe. So we're using Zod, okay? And so now we remove the arrow, and we have movie. But here's the deal. It's a function that returns anything. It can return, if it can return anything, what can it return? Virtual DOM. So let's have some fun with this. We'll return list of movie names dot map. Whoa, we can do that movie, and then we can just return like li, and we can do like a nice list. Save. So we're just like, this is, by the way, if anyone's wondering, this is a React server component because it's a function that returned virtual DOM. Okay, and virtual DOM is this. So now let's go back and ask the same thing again. Movies with a strong female lead. And what are we going to get? There we go, beautiful li, list, wow. But the cool thing is, since this is a component, we get like hot reload and stuff. So I could check this out, class name, where did it go? Class name, BG Red, anyone use Tailwind? BG Red 500, save. And now we will ask again, like generate it for me. That's not supposed to happen. It's totally fine. Oh no, actually that was supposed to happen. I'll show you why. Look at this, beautiful. Sometimes it loses context. I'd be like, here's an example. What's the first movie? Watch this. And it's like, what is all this? Birth of a Nation. It doesn't remember because we didn't code it. Let's quickly give it memory by using history. So we can say const history is get mutable AI state. Okay, and between the system prompt and the message, we literally just do like history.get, and we merge this in. And when you return text, when the generation is done, we call history.done, and we just persist. This is all we need for memory. So let's go back. Now this should work. So let's do this again, right? What's the first movie is, okay, well, I guess it just did that in this case. We would refine this a lot if we wanted to control the UI. Finally, I think we can do a lot better here. Let's say, use this tool only when a user asks. Okay, we'll do this something like this. Let's do different. Let's do movies about romance. I don't know. Silence your phone. So that's a list, and what might this look like as UI, right? And we'll enter. Okay, we get the tailwind, and we can like maybe mess with this a little bit. And we'll get different generation. But what if we can do even better? So what we're going to do is we're going to get a list of movies. As you can see, this is our prop to our component. And I'm going to go like absolutely bananas and do this. So we call an API to get the poster from a movie. Instead of titles, we'll call this list of movie names, right? And yeah. And so I'm going to call this API, get a poster, and we found the movie. And then we're going to return either, if we can't find the movie, a placeholder JPEG, otherwise an actual JPEG. So we're going to get a picture, and the picture is stored in this variable movies. It's an array of pictures, right? And so what I can do from here is I can return a component that I wrote previously, because any component can return another component, right? And so I can do something like this. And if I save, and I go like, let's do show me movies about Berlin, right? It's going to give me, look at that. Like, this has gotten so much better, Wow. You see that? And the crazy part is like, it's interactive. Like, and it's Berlin calling, and I click on it, and it takes me, whoa. And it's like, and the other thing is, what is movies? Now, the big question on everyone's mind, was that movies component generated by AI? It was not. It was not. The movies component was generated by me. And this is great because AI is unpredictable. It could generate some random component that shows NSFW stuff. Sorry. You don't want to trust AI with your UI. Okay, you want to control your UI. What you want AI to generate is the props, like the movie list, right? And so what is this movies component? Let's take a look at it. So if we go full screen, it's just a React component. We get a list of movies. This title is generated by AI, but this other stuff I get from an API. It's just a list of movies, and this is my component. It's a div with some iteration, and I did include a key this time, So if I go back, check this out. I could like on this div be like on click, instead of console log, let's alert, and I'll alert with like sup Berlin, and I'll save. And if I click somewhere in this white space, the div, like it should, yeah, look at that. It's fully interactive. I could do whatever I want. I could do like window.open. And just open some random window. So like HTTPS, I don't know, youtube.com/. Let's see what AI autocompletes here. What? Oh, perfect. Can you guess? And so I'm going to click this. Wait, watch. and it's going to open that window to. It's crazy. So I love that that's the most common. So, but we're doing so much. But here's the deal. This is nice, but it's still chat because I have to chat. I want you to imagine a world where the prompt is not submitted by a user, but by a developer. Are you tracking with this? Like, what if we could go on, if we have generative UI, like for example, you go on like amazon.de, right? And like this entire section, oh, that's my book, crazy. This entire section was generated by AI because some developer called the API with a prompt. Doesn't make sense. This portion, generative UI, right? I think I built a demo. I don't know if it still works. Yeah, this one. I actually didn't. This is not part of my rehearsal of the talk, but I built this demo that does that. It's an e-commerce store, but everything is personalized to the user, generated by AI, and I guess it doesn't work, so we won't go there. It totally works. Awesome. So this e-commerce store, all the product recommendations are totally generated by you. And I could do something, I could search for like green winter jacket, right? And the search results, if they come up, would be like, look, it's all green winter jackets. It's so cool. And I wrote zero of this. I just defined the components, and an AI is generating the props and the network requests. And some of them are still for sale. Like if I click on this, it might, yeah, look at that, it's wild. It's still, so anyway, this is where the future is. And I hope I've made that very clear to you, and I hope I've made it clear how to do that. Because like, we have a responsibility with UX. Finally, I want to wrap up with this, right? Like, what if it's a support chatbot, and you want to be like, you want to help your user. Like if someone says like, hey, I forgot my password, right? You want to make it so that instead of like giving them text that describes, go click here, reset, you just give them the reset password form, because you can do that. So like, generate a reset password form tool, right? And I want, yeah, look at, my goodness. Okay, save. When is it called? Display a password reset form when a user asks to reset their password, right? Save. And now I'll be like, I forgot my password. I don't know if this has live reload, but yeah, okay, that's the usual, but let's do this. Can I reset my password? Oh, well, okay. What? Let's say use this tool maybe. This is prompt engineering, and we maybe don't have to go down this path. Send an email? What? Oh, yeah. Tejas at don'temailme.com. Oh my gosh, look at that, incredible. You see, this is what we can do, and this is what we should do. So anyway, that's React Server Components and the intersection between AI and UI. I hope based on the work that we've done and how we've defined AI engineers that you feel comfortable AI calling yourself one. And I'd like to just take this moment to wrap up. In summary, we're tired of AI. We don't really like it. There's a lot of hype and a lot of undelivered promises. Anyone remember the Humane Pin, the Rabbit R1? Apple Intelligence? Like, there's a lot of scams and things are just not, but we are UI engineers. Like we get to control it. We get to write the component. We get to like build the systems. You feel empowered? Do you feel that? That's why we're here. And I want to make sure that you know that this is accessible to you. Now, about server components and all the React stuff, I cover this in a lot more detail in my book. You're welcome to go get it. Honestly, don't. Like, if you don't, I'm not here to sell to you, but we do go into more detail. So if you want that, that's there. I also have a lot of them for free to give away. So like, if you want one, just come and be like, hey, can I get a book? I won't judge. It's not weird, right? It's just access to information, okay? I also go into way more detail on my podcast. You're welcome to go join that. We have very long, oh geez, let me just, we have very, very long episodes, and people literally feel the need to tell me like, hey, it's too long. I'm like, sorry. You're welcome to join that as well. But honestly, hey, look, I've been coming to this conference for 5 years, and it's been an absolute honor to give the keynote so regularly, and I just want to thank you so much for your time and your attention and for coming out today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes.